Hello, fellow figure skating fans and friends. My name is Justin Lamb, and I'm here with my friend Kanishka to film a preview video for the pairs disciplines at the 2019 U.S. National Figure Skating Championships held in Detroit. Now, this is going to be a very interesting video to film just because I think it's the one discipline at Nationals this year that does not have a clear favorite. We have Nathan Chen in men's, Brady Tennell, arguably so, with the ladies, and Madison Hubble and Zachary Donahue for dance. But pairs? It's up in the open. At least my notes, Kanishka, say that there are three very realistic possibilities for the gold medal in pairs. We have Tarah, Kayne, and Danny O'Shea, who post the highest total competition score in the Grand Prix season. And there's Alexa Scimeca-Knierim and Chris Knierim, who have the most experience. They were also the solo American athletes representing pairs at the Olympic Games. And then there's Ashley Kane and Tim LeDuc, who have been having a steady rise this season, for the most part. We'll discuss that later. How about we just start with Alexa and Chris?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I find them to always be a wild card. They have the highest potential, in my book, to score competitively with the other top pairs in the world. That's mainly because they get really high program component marks. The interesting thing this year is that if you look at their competitions, you look at the protocols, the program component scores are very close from one competition to another between all of these top three American pairs. So I don't think they quite have that advantage this year as they have in the past. And as we all know, they struggle with their side-by-side jumps. That being said, they do have the ability to skate every other aspect of their programs super well. Anything you wanted to say about Alexa and Chris?
Yeah, speaking of program components, the opposite end, we also have like the technical score as well. And even those are close between the top teams as well. So it is definitely an event, a discipline that is open to anyone to take home the title this season.
Yeah, I think in the past few seasons for my Nationals previews, I said that Alexa and Chris were able to afford a mistake or two. I actually think this year the gold medal will go to whoever is the cleanest technically.
Agreed.
So that means they have to land their side-by-side jumps, or if they don't, they have to hope that other pairs make the same mistake. What else do I wanted to say about Alexa and Chris? I think they have the ability to perform really well at Nationals, mainly because it's been a rocky start to their season. I'm not sure if most of you know, they started off the summertime being coached by Aliona Savchenko, reigning Olympic gold medalist in pairs in Germany. So they flew back and forth between Chicago and Germany to train. That didn't go well, so they were coachless for a while, as we saw at Skate America. And then, do you know of their new coaching situation right now?
Yeah, so right now they've relocated to California and are being trained by Jenny Mito and Todd Sands.
Oh, that's right. So hopefully, with some stability in their lives for the time being, I know it's still really early for this new partnership. I hope we can start seeing some more consistent performances on the ice. And I think Nationals is a really good time to start being consistent, technically mainly because Nationals will dictate the rest of their season. Who gets sent to four continents? We only have one spot for the World Figure Skating Championships, and so many other pairs are fighting for that chance to represent the United States at the World Figure Skating Championships. In a sense, it might be like a blood fest, right? Or a bloodbath. Is that what people like to call it?
I think so, yeah. And I think that Alexa and Chris are pushing towards the top later on in the season. Like we saw them win a medal at the NHK Trophy back in November, I think. And then obviously they capped it off with a second place finish, first in the free skate at the event in Croatia as well. So they seem like they're pushing in the right direction as the Nationals unravels in like a week or two. So.
That's right. And speaking of their performance at NHK, I will say what was impressive about their free program is that they made an error with their two side-by-side jumping passes in the beginning of the program, but they went on to perform the rest of their free skate so well. So that's actually good to see that they can make two major mistakes in the beginning of a program and still skate their hearts out for another 3 minutes, because not a lot of athletes can do that no matter what discipline you're in. So that shows that you can't count them out. I know everyone likes to joke that they can never land their side by side jumps, but if everything else is great and the other pair team struggles on the same elements, they could still win.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to Tarah, Kayne, and Dannii O'Shea. This pair I was unsure of at the beginning of the season before I saw them skate, just because they are prone to injuries in the past. But they were really impressive at their Grand Prix competition, the International de France, because they posted a total score of 191.43 and won the silver medal there. So very impressive for them.
Yeah, and if they can get back to the form that they did when they won their national championships, I think that they'll be right up there. And we also saw that they could skate two clean programs and at four continents last season. So they have all that potential to really challenge the Knierim as far as like the top placement here at nationals. And yeah, hopefully these injuries are not something that is so serious, and they can just skate clean like everyone knows that they can. So
Yeah, and we all have to remember that the year they won the national championships, it was against Alexa and Chris, and it was kind of an unexpected win for most people. So they can do the exact same thing this year.
yeah, there's no pressure on them right now. So
Yeah, and I think for once, as I mentioned earlier in this video, there's not as much of a gap in the program components between them and the Knierim. So if they can stay clean, if they can land those jumps and keep everything else great, then the gold medal should not be a problem. I will say, though, what Alexa and Chris have going for them, besides, a really well-programmed skated, is that they attempt the quad twist in the free skate. Sometimes, it's not all the time, but when it's done, it's usually done so well and garners a lot of points. So that puts them over the edge. I don't know of Tarah and Dannii attempting a quad anything in their program, so they'll just be going for a clean skate. And then, well, yes?
yeah, but with the new rule changes, with the +5 to -5 scale, I sometimes wonder if it's worth taking the risk on the quad twist, just because sometimes they do have like a crash landing on that quad twist, which will get the negative grades of execution, which will definitely hurt them in the score technically. So you kind of had to like see how it's going on practice and see if they're really comfortable about like really catching Alexa. And if that's going well, then yeah, definitely do attempt it, because that will give them the edge technically.
You bring up a really good point. What I think of when I see the +5, -5 GOE scale this season is the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. And I think Tarah and Dannii have the highest potential to skate a clean program technically.
Agreed, yeah.
So, yeah, less risky for them. Do you want to start off by talking about Ashley Kayne and Tim LeDuc?
Ashley Kayne and Tim LeDuc had a really strong start to the season with their 2 wins in the Challenger Series, and that really gave them the momentum going into Skate America, which Justin, you and I were both in attendance to watch. And I remember you and I having that little competitive edge between the two of us, who's going to be on top, Alexa and Chris, or is it going to be Ashley and Tim? But my team, in quotation marks, were able to pull ahead, and they went through the season really like the motivation was definitely there. And then the event happened in Croatia, and then people were kind of like putting to question like how would that affect them mentally, but also physically for Ashley Kayne. But having talked to both Ashley and Tim over social media, it looks like they're in good spirits going into nationals, and that's great to hear, because this is the season if you want to like be the #1 pair team in the United States. The best season to do that, make a mark, is this season. So hoping for the best for them as well.
Absolutely. They scored comfortably higher. I think 5 points in total score is a comfortable lead in front of Alexa and Chris. So that shows what they're capable of doing against the other top American pair teams. So the potential is there. The only thing is I have here in my notes is that their highest total score was at Skate America, and it's only a 175.06, as opposed to Tarah and Denney and Alexa and Chris, who have scored over 190 in the remainder of the season. So, that's something to think about. But I think they just really had a poor showing at their second Grand Prix.
We also have to make a point that like their program components have been pretty good this season, and even at Skate America, they had higher component marks than Alexa and Chris. So it shows how really close the event for pairs is in the United States. Because sometimes those last little points that you can receive on the program components do make the difference between gold and silver. So I'm just hoping for like clean skates from all the pairs, and then the judging just goes to the person, not the person, but goes to the pair that have the best program overall.
Yeah, you know what I like about Tim and Ashley is that they try not so typical technical elements. Like they go from like a side-by-side flip to a side-by-side loop to a double axel half loop sequence with a salchow. Like that keeps it interesting. They sometimes do a throw loop. I think the hard part though is that we notice that sometimes they can stand up on their side-by-side elements, but they are prone to under rotations a little more than the other pairs from the pairs teams that I notice. Like sometimes we'll have pair teams falling on their side-by-side jumps, but it'll be fully rotated. Whereas I think Ashley and Tim have the opposite problem where they stand up, but it's an under rotation.
I do want to give them full credit for going for those side-by-side triple loops. They are the most difficult jumps that are being attempted as far as like side-by-side jumps. And I don't think I've ever seen a pair do that since the mid-90s when Shelby Lyons and Brian Wells did it at the national championships and the Worlds in Edmonton, actually. So it's great to see that the United States is actually pushing their pair elements technically. And I think that'll hopefully hold them in good stead as we head further into this Olympic cycle.
So everybody watching, Kanishka and I had a conversation before this video saying we weren't going to make predictions, and I'm putting you on the spot now. Let's put our predictions on video because it'll be interesting. Any of these three teams can win. I think this is what the podium will most likely look like. I will go first. I like Alexa and Chris. They have the experience. They tend to bring it all together at the right moment. Sometimes. I really think they'll edge out Tarah, Kayne, and Danny O'Shea. They'll be in second. And then I actually think bronze could be between Ashley Kayne, Tim LeDuc, and Deanna Stellato and Nathan Bartholomay. We'll talk about them a little later. So that is my prediction. Now you should do the same.
Ooh, you're putting me on the spot. So I don't think the World Championship spot will be decided at U.S. Nationals per se.
I agree with that.
So this is just going off what I think might happen at U.S. Nationals. I think that Tarah, Kayne, and Danny O'Shea will win the national championships. And I think that Alexa and Chris Knierim and Ashley Kayne and Tim LeDuc will finish in second and third in no particular order, but it'll be a difference of like a point or a point and a half.
So if you know our history with making bets, you have the history of winning people. So I need some extra prayers because I put that out on video.
But we'll see. As Scott Hamilton always said, like the ice is slippery. So
and it comes down to that night. Like skaters can get food poisoning the day of, or a bad crash can happen in warm up. I mean, you just never know.
Definitely, yep.
Okay, so let's talk about Deanna Stellato and Nathan Bartholomay. I'd say a lackluster / slow start to the season. They did have to withdraw from the Ross Telecom Cup, which was their second Grand Prix competition, so they only competed on the Grand Prix circuit at the Grand Prix of Figure Skating in Helsinki. That total score for them was a 159.21. pretty lower than the other American pairs that we saw. But, they did rally back and finish in third place at the Golden Spin, and that was kind of like a mini nationals to a lot of people
Yeah.
because three of some of the top American pairs were there, and they were able to edge out Ashley Kane and Tim LeDuc. Granted, they had the unfortunate fall happen at the end of their program. But still, a bronze medal is a bronze medal, and they were able to come on top. I know they're making some changes to their programs, and I'm not sure I love the changes that I've seen. The main change I'm thinking about is their short program music. I actually, my personal opinion, and this is from someone who likes them, I think it was a step in the wrong direction. I think it's less unique. It's more enjoyable
Sure.
music. I'm just not sure that was the right direction for them. If I were to spend time on anything with that pair team, it would be to master all of the technical elements because they need to really be clean as often as possible to continue rising in the ranks.
Yeah, I think it was like a safe choice for music. Like I especially with the rules that changed back in like 2014, 2015, where you could have vocal music. I was hoping it would like actually allow more freedom for the skaters to choose their music, and I felt like them changing their short program midway through the season and the music that they chose was a little bit safe. And I like to see skaters just channel something a little bit different, you know. And so first of all, for the music, I felt like it was a little bit of a safe choice. And I'm not like criticizing Jim Peterson for doing that, but I don't think it's necessarily the music that was the problem. It was the fact that they were just not skating the program well. So as you said, Justin, I think that just goes back to the training, and as they say, practice makes perfect. But they do have a quad throw in their arsenal, which I think we discussed prior to recording this call, whether it's worth going for or not. So it's very similar to the situation with the Knierim and the quad twist, but quad throw instead.
If you want my opinion, I think that it's worth it. They do need a big wow factor to have them stand out at nationals. I can't remember the interview I saw of them. It must have been from Golden Skate. They've been doing a lot of those interviews lately. But Deanna and Nate said they have been landing the throw element in their free program clean, but only in competitions that aren't recorded. So like the super local competitions. So at least they're being landed in a competition. I'm wondering if there's some extra nerves in major competitions that, affect the timing or affect the nerves. Because if they're affected just a little bit, the throw can totally be off if not everything is perfectly in place. But it's good to hear that they've landed it cleanly. I say it's a good choice for them.
I say play it by ear. Like if it's not working in practice, don't attempt it.
That is true.
Because then you're pretty much like putting pewter metal even at risk. So, yeah, see how it goes in practice. If you guys are landing it consistently, then go for it. If not, I'm pretty much like that conservative skating fan where I feel like I want to put out the best performance I can. And if a quad is not working right now, like I'd rather just go for the clean program and pretty much be like Adam or Pod, like highlight my strengths and get the highest grades of execution on all those other elements so I can still be in good stead going into, let's say, the next competition or even like the next program, which could be like the free program. So, yeah, that's just me.
Okay. So, yeah, we wish the best for Deanna and Nate. It sounds like they're going to stick around for the next Olympic cycle. So, yay, veterans. Deanna Stellato is a few years older than me, and I do not know how she does it.
Left the pods too at that age.
Yeah, I get sore going up and down stairs. So kudos to her. I am a big fan of Deanna Stellato, so I'm happy to see her in competition. Another pair we should mention is Haven Denney and Brandon Fraser. They competed at Skate Canada, obviously did not place well. They are a wild card because I think they are such great skaters. They have the raw skating skills that are good enough. I won't say great, they're good enough. They have the ability to land all the technical elements. It just seems like they're plagued by injury and so many inconsistencies, and it's really unfortunate to see.
It really is because they are definitely considered a good team in the United States. Like I remember even after she got injured and she came back, there was that one program that did to, I believe it was called Somewhere in Time. I think that's what it was. And they actually skated that really, really well. And people were like, "Oh, this is a really great team that's coming back and looking stronger than ever." But in recent years, it looks like those injuries that Haven has had just keeps coming back, and that's really unfortunate because they are such a beautiful team to watch, and they do have really great pair elements. But sometimes I question the consistency, just like what you just said, Justin. And that's the that's going to be the name of the game for them. Like if they can land every all the elements, really, like if they can deliver when the time counts.
That's right. I actually think that they are not deservedly so held back in the program component marks because there are a few moments where they skate really clean and they are not rewarded with good scores. So that I find is unfair. So that might be some reputation scoring from the judges or favoritism happening there, not working for them. So I just wanted
And
to put that out there. Yeah, that
And that's
happens.
every discipline. So like it's almost like when the momentum is on your side, where you deliver competition after competition, your component marks just tend to go up a little bit more and more. So I think Alexa and Chris learned that the hard way when they were first coming along, where their components were low, but they were landing their side by side jumps back in the day. So and now they're going to be rewarded for the skating skills that they were been able to develop, and now we're just waiting on those side by side jumps again. So um, yeah, so pretty much I'm hoping that they get marked appropriately for program components here at Nationals.
Yeah, and you mentioned their past programs. You know what past program of theirs that I love is The Lion King.
Yes, I remember that. That was such, and that's such a great showing there too.
Yeah.
Uh, that was
And correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they now being coached by, is his name Rodney? Rockney?
Rockney Brubaker.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still with them, right? Yeah.
Yes, so I hope that's working out well.
Yeah, because I know they just recently moved from their first coach to Rockney, and Rockney was a really great talent, a really great talent back in his day too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really hope that they can come back strong and skate like they did when that Lion King program came along. I still remember that program because I remember I downloaded the King of Pride Rock from my iTunes just so I could like get inspiration from that piece of music. So um, maybe they need to return to that program, Justin. Maybe that'll give them the motivation that they need to like really like reinvent their careers. So Brandon Fraser, if you're watching this video, go back to Lion King. They'll bring you good luck.
You know, I actually do think that the program you choose can really have a an extremely positive impact on how you skate. It's my personal advice to Gabrielle Daleman to choose a competition program that's like her exhibitions. We'll see if that advice is taken or not. But yeah, you know, they got nothing to lose. And maybe this season or next season, choose something totally out of the box that's totally them. And they are a couple, Haven and Brandon. Why not showcase that even more in a program? It's worked for Alexa and Chris.
And it could work for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Okay, so now's the time where we can discuss anybody else competing at nationals. And I wanted to mention a pair team that I'm excited to see, and that is Max Settlage and Winter Deardorf.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't heard her name before. Good on them for continuing to compete, really. Like because I know Max Stellato has had several partners in the past, so
I
um,
do miss him and Madeline Aaron. That was a
actually,
really good pairing.
but she wanted to go back to school, right? If I remember
Hmm.
correctly. But yeah, I'm proud of him for continuing to skate, and I know you're a fan of Max Stellato in particular, so
Hmm. Yeah, he's a really cool guy. The really only performance I can see of him and Winter on YouTube are from, is it, what's that Detroit competition? Skate Detroit in the summer?
Detroit. Yeah,
Yeah, so they had a relatively clean outing for them. It's just going to take a while, clearly, for them to gel together. And the one thing I will note is that I think Max is more of the performer in that pair, so hopefully he can help Winter open up, especially in competition as time goes on. I think that will really serve them well. But otherwise, they're staying with a longtime coach, Delilah, so I hope that works out for them.
And speaking of Skate Detroit, like it's a total different ballpark, the U.S. National Championships, and I think it's been said over the years, like the National Championships is like the most difficult competition of the year, even more so than the World Championships. So yeah, so I really hope that what they were able to perform at Skate Detroit kind of like channels into their performances at the U.S. Nationals as well.
Yeah, a clean skate at nationals can get you pretty far. Let's say they don't make any of the further competitions in the second half of the season. That's Grand Prix placements, that's Senior B placements. So hoping the best for them. Also, one team that kind of perked my interest here on the roster, I have it in front of me,
I
is
know exactly what you're talking about.
Mervyn Tran. And I was a big fan of Mervyn Tran as a
With
pair
Marissa.
skater with Marissa Castelli.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard a lot of talk about this new partnership with Olivia Serafini. So I'm
That name's
just
not familiar.
curious if you all are watching and you know more details that because I clearly don't. Please let me know. But otherwise, a lot of eyes are going to be on them at nationals, and it's going to be an interesting story with Merman. Obviously, being Canadian, formerly represented by Japan, and I guess he's sticking with being represented by the United States. Don't see Marissa Castelli's name anywhere, so that's interesting. I don't know of a formal interview that's out there, so please, all of you viewing, if you know of one, please inform me because I'm out of the loop.
Yeah, I'm very curious as well. I know that Marissa Castelli used to skate with one of your favorites, Justin Simon-Schnapier, back in the day, and then switched over to Mervyn. And then, yeah, what happened after that? I don't really know. So, yeah, any of
And it
your
sounds
viewers,
like and it sounds like USFSA has been keeping quiet about it.
hush hush. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Anyone else you wanted to talk about?
There's so many teams out there, so it's kind of hard to like discuss everybody. So if we forgot anybody, don't be upset with us.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
there was Jessica Flood and Joshua Sanjalon who got one Grand Prix assignment this season. He just recently graduated from college. I wonder if that kind of gives him a renowned little energy now that college is done with. And I still remember their Grand Prix debut from back in the day when they skated to Gravity by Sarah
Oh
Bareilles.
yeah.
But seems like I remember their performance at Nationals last year. It was not the greatest free skate. So I'm not sure how they will do, but I guess one last skater to mention, I
Oh
guess.
no, so I have one last pair to
And what,
mention. They're a team. I don't always talk about them, but I always like to watch them. They're not really consistent. It's Jessica Kalalang and Brian Johnson.
yes, yeah, definitely.
You know, they do get assignments. I don't think they place very high, but I don't know, I think they're a dynamic pair physically
Dynamic
to
pair.
watch. I like watching them. So I'll appreciate seeing how they do at nationals.
And a part of pair skating is that, where they traditionally they like to have the man show off the woman. So
Hmm.
they do that well. So they do check off one of the boxes. That is what makes pair skating great. But there's also the side by side elements and also the twists and all the lifts that they also need to like check off. So that's the name of the game, really.
Yeah, speaking of making pair skating great, can I mention one thing that I think hinders pair skating overall in the United States? So I was looking at Stars on Ice and the roster the past few years, and it's kind of disheartening to see that rarely are any pair skaters featured on skating shows that tour. I just think, like, we look at Canada. I've been to Stars on Ice in Canada. There's usually a representative from every discipline, and it's a big bummer that that can't be the case in the United States. Sure, one can be a little snarky, in my opinion, and argue that if the Americans aren't good enough in pairs, then they don't deserve that spot. And I was like, well, then aren't we not doing our part by help supporting them? Like, we can't keep having it being such a difficult battle for pair skaters in the United States. Like, they, trust me, they have it tough, and they have to work really hard. But what's the incentive for them to do well if they don't even get an invite to Stars on Ice at the end of the season?
I totally agree with you, Justin. Like, it also makes you question, like, how important pair skating is in the United States, and I think it should be something that's important to them, just because like they're going to be young kids like we were watching skating on television, and they might be like, "Oh, this pair skating sounds so great! Like, let me give this a try." But then at the end of the day, like skating is an expensive sport, and you want to make sure that there's opportunities out there for those skaters to make a few extra dollars here and there, you know? So why not like give a pair skater or a pair skating team an opportunity to share their talent on a tour like Stars on Ice?
Yeah, and you make a good point. It's an opportunity for them to make money. I'm actually thinking of it more as in like it's an opportunity for them to grow as skaters. You hear from skaters a lot of times that they grow, they gain a new perspective on skating after doing shows.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could get some really like exciting future pair programs if, some of them went on tour and, got some feedback from the audiences on, what's fun and what they like and what's appreciated. I think that could really take the pairs disciplines a lot further in American skating.
Yeah, I really hope that they do that one day. And who knows, maybe they're going to be watching our video and be like, well, maybe you make a good point, boys.
Yeah, who's it?
But
Scott Hamilton, or do you run Stars on Ice? I see you at
yeah,
competitions. Like,
there you
please
go.
take this
Oh,
feedback. I'm pretty sure I'm not the first one to bring this up. So,
exactly, because I remember even like at nationals, I think that pairs doesn't usually sell out, so pretty much any athlete can or any fan can like sit anywhere they want. Like bring the audience to pair skating, you know? Like, and I think the reason why not many people attend pairs is because it's not something that you like casual skating fan can just go and see on a tour. It's usually the ladies, the men's, and now ice dance with the Meryl and Charlie really putting that out there, you know? So I totally agree with you,
yeah,
Justin.
and let me tell you something. I've been to Canadian Stars on Ice a few times. There are some really killer, cool, and dangerous, but exciting to watch pair moves that can be done in exhibitions and shows.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, and it's not just throws. It's not just side by side jumps. There are lifts, there are spins. I'm pretty sure you know of the one that's extra scary where it's like the guy
Where
holds
the
on
guy
to the girl's feet and
Yeah,
ooh, that gets me all the time.
yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
so I think pairs will have the opportunity to, add something new to American Stars on Ice.
So Scott Hamilton, if you're watching.
That's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
my 2 cents. Yeah, I think that's it with pairs.
Yeah, and if there's anything else that you guys want to discuss, definitely like leave a comment, and I'm sure Justin or I
Yeah,
will probably do some.
let us know. Do you think it's close between the three pairs that we mentioned for the gold medal, and who do you think will edge out for the win? Watch, Kanishka, with the actual result, it's like a clear gap between first and second, and second and third and fourth.
Yeah, we'll see who wins the bet on our end, but I'm sure like a person who comments on here will have a really great like Claire. I think Claire would have a really great idea of what the results are going to be at nationals. So that's probably who I'm going to message next and be like, so who do you think will top three?
Yeah, let's get Claire's opinion. But anyways,
It's not
we we are rambling on now. So if you're still here, thank you so much for tuning into my YouTube channel, and then I'll see you in my next video. And thank you again, Kanishka, for joining me.
You're welcome. Yep.
All right, goodbye.
Bye, guys.